Hey guys, I'm Jesse. Welcome back to my channel where I talk all about the domain format. This video is part of a series. I am gathering what I think would be helpful for newcomers to the domain format when it comes to rounding out their deck and helping them finish out the deck building process. If you don't know what domain format is, you can watch my video on how to play, learn about the rules. You can join the Discord where you can chat with us, get help brewing a deck, we can answer any questions you have, and you can set up remote duels to play with us. Just the other day, I was able to get in 3 games with like 6 different people. It was really fun and I had a blast. The other videos I made in this series were on hand traps and what I would consider domain format staples. Some really exciting news. You can build your domain deck on Yugioh Pro Deck and have it listed as a domain deck now. Like it's listed as an official alternate format. That I was elated to hear that news in the middle of the night. I could hardly sleep last night. I was so excited. I remember joining the Discord when I had like 25 people and thinking that this is something I could play with my friends, and now it's just gaining lots of momentum and traction, and it's been awesome. I really hope as many people get a chance to try this out for themselves and see if they like it, because it's genuinely just one of the most fun formats ever. Anyway, I'm going to start jumping into this. If you don't want to hear me, I'm not really going to be rating these. I'm just kind of going to be sorting them by what they do and how they interrupt your opponent's boards. So if you just want to see the entire list and have it all sorted out so you can quickly look at what you would like to use, I'll make sure to timestamp that. Before you go, if you found this useful, give it a like, please. It's free to do and it helps me out. Without further ado, I will try and start busting these out. So the different tiers that I have are using your opponent's monsters as material or tributing them. And the next tier down is taking them to be used for material or to tribute them. I'm going to show you negates. I'm going to show you banish effects, destroy effects. Then I'm going to show you bounce and sending to the graveyard. There's a bunch of Book of Moon effects, and then the last one is just for specifically dealing with like spells and traps so you can get out from it under Mystic Mine or whatever. All right, I don't really have these sorted, so I am just going to start going through them. Sphere mode uses 3 of your opponent's monsters as material for its special summon. It's an inherent summon, so they can't respond to it. The Lava Golem is the same way, except it attributes 2 monsters and also burns them for 1,000 each turn. I'm just gonna go ahead and grab any of the kaijus that I see. All the kaiju archetype monsters tribute 1 monster to be put on their field, but you can only give them 1. So you can't just like summon 3 kaijus to their side. I don't want to scroll down, so I will have to wait, I guess. Regaiki, everybody knows that. Destroy your opponent's monsters. Feather Duster, destroy their back row. Heavy Storm, destroy everybody's back row. I guess I don't really know where to put Lightning Storm, but I had to assume it would be most of the time going to be used as a Regaiki. Dark Hole. We got good old Book of Moon and his close relatives, Book of Eclipse, Book of Lunar Eclipse, and Book of Eclipse. We got Triple Tactics Talent, which in most cases probably will be used as a Change of Heart, or actually probably a Pot of Greed, to be honest. But if you're trying to break the board, I guess you would, instead of risk not getting a board breaker, you would just try and Change of Heart them then and there. Doom Cannon Daruma. I'm actually a huge fan of this card. It's a Book of Moon for everything, and then it has your opponent send their link monsters to the graveyard, so it gets around, like, you know, unaffected by your opponent's card effects because you're making your opponent do it. At least I think that's how it works. Big Boy Nibiru. So this guy is actually pretty bonkers in domain format. You tribute all monsters on the field and then give your opponent the token, so it's pretty rough to be honest. Divine Carnate is actually kind of a new kaiju, and this card I think is gonna go, I mean, I'm not like a Yu-Gi expert, but it's only like $7-8 right now, which is really surprising for how good it is. We got another kaiju. Oh, we got good old Droplet. Everybody knows about that. You discard a card and you discard and send cards from your hand or field to the graveyard and then negate, and they can't respond to it. Slayer's pretty good because it sends to graveyard, and it also Foolish Burial's an extra deck monster of yours. This is a Soul Drain, I believe. It's like a skill drain but for the graveyard. And banish, I believe. Change of Heart, take their stuff, tribute it away, link it off, whatever. Volcanic is another kaiju. Good old skill drain, everybody knows about that. Super Poly, they can't respond to it. Use their stuff as material for a fusion summon. Eater of Millions is a non-targeting banish. Rose Dragon, Rudy Rose Dragon. Destroy everything, all the monsters on the field. And then Rudy Rose banishes all monsters from graveyards and then also destroys all monsters in play. Kasha is kind of hard to pull off, but if you can, it shuffles everything in play back into the deck. Pretty brutal. Santa Claus is another kaiju. Everybody knows about Evenly Match. Makes your opponent send cards to the graveyard to match how many cards you have in play. Infinite Impermanence, hand trap that can negate. More kaijus. Goes in match, pretty good because it can force your opponent to send cards to the graveyard. Same thing with There Can Only Be One. Forbidden, the whole Forbidden series is kind of interesting, but I think Chalice is the best because it negates the monster effect. Kashtira, super pricey. It's good to know that there's ways to banish stuff face down, which is pretty broken. Snatch Steal, it's an equip Change of Heart. Soul Exchange lets you use your opponent's monster for tribute. Dark Ruler No More negates all their monsters. They can't respond. Zeus, Torrential Tribute. trap, dark hole basically. These mirror forces, drowning, shuffle them all back into the deck, and storming returns all attack position monsters to the hand, so bounces them off the field, doesn't destroy. Twin twisters, pops 2 back row. Mind control, takes their stuff to use as material. Brain control is not on here because it's objectively pretty bad. It can only get a monster that can be normal summoned. This is soul drain. This stops the effects of banished and graveyard monsters. Warlords forces your opponent to send to the graveyard, similar to goes a match and evenly matched, or goes in the match and there can only be one. I don't know her full name, but she's called something from the underworld, and she lets you link summon using one of your opponent's monsters as material. Ordeal of the Traveler. This card's hilarious and quite good in a multiplayer game. Yeah, whenever an opponent's monster declares an attack, they have to pick a card out of your hand at random and guess its type, spell, trap, or monster. And if they're wrong, they bounce the card to their hand, which, I mean, most of the time you're going to have monsters in your hand, right? But if you think about it, the odds aren't very good the more cards you have in your hand that they're going to guess right. So very, very good, and it's not a once per turn. Lair of Darkness lets you use your opponent's monsters as tribute if it's for dark stuff. There's another Kaiju. Compulsory evacuation device. A goodie, an oldie but a goodie, simple and clean. Ultimate Conductor Tyranno turns all of one of your opponent's monsters face down, so that can negate them, and it can attack each monster once, which is really, really good in domain. It's not limited to one opponent there. Anti-magic spell arrows, make sure that you don't have to worry about back row when you're attacking. So this isn't particular to the Mayakashi, but I wanted to show Absolute Zero because it has a really good effect of permanently negating and permanently reducing the attack to 0, and she can do that twice per turn if something activates in graveyard or a special summon from the graveyard. I'm not super familiar with all archetypes, but anything that permanently reduces attack to 0 and negates is just ridiculously strong because it negates any effects that might interrupt what you're doing, and reducing their attack to 0 just means anything can run over it and turns anything into removal. It's very good. Something else that comes to mind is Titanocider. I guess that should have been on here. Titanocider, very good because it sets itself again and again and again and again. It doesn't banish itself. I think one that also resets itself but does banish itself is Lost Wind, I believe, something like that. I'll put it up on screen. Needle Sealing is basically kind of like a copy of Torrential Tribute. There just needs to be 4 monsters in play, which is not hard to do. Goatee, again, even though this is archetype specific, I'm sure there's other archetypes that do this as well, but banishing cards is just really, really good. Not a lot of archetypes have ways to get banish effects back. You know, I'm thinking of like Goatee and Metaphys. Those recur themselves from banish. Those are very strong. Mateon, the Time Lord. This, I would honestly look into each of the Time Lords for whatever archetype or whatever attribute is in your domains, because just in general, they're really strong. This one bounces everything back to the main deck, which is really, really strong, and burns an opponent. You need to have an empty board to be able to normal summon them, but a lot of them do really wacky, crazy things, and in domain format, it's just pretty strong, to be honest, because they can sit there, you don't take any battle damage from whatever happens with them. They're really fun, actually, to be honest. I would give those guys a look. We got the new Chaos Emperor Dragon. Chaos Emperor Dragon sends cards to the graveyard, so he doesn't destroy them, but pulling off this card kind of puts a target on your head, so I'd watch out. Alpha, bouncing stuff back to the hands, again, very strong, gets around, can't be destroyed or banished. Monarch Stormforth, you don't have to be playing Monarchs to use this. It's just kind of like a better soul exchange. Sales Ban, basically, you know, forces your opponent to either use their negate then and there, or you get to name their monster and they can't activate the negate anymore. Ballardrock, another great card that can recurribly banish things each turn, but one of the great things about Ballardrock is it's non-targeting, which is great. Baguska, very good, just a blanket negate while it's in play, forcing everything into defense, slows down the game, very, very hard to deal with. Underdog is an interesting pick, but you gotta be careful because on your turn it negates your opponent's cards, monsters effects, and on your opponent's turns it negates your monster effects, so I'd be careful with that. Everybody's favorite, Mystic Mind. I imagine the price on these have dropped a little bit recently, so if you ever want to get one, now's a good time. Oh no, I ran out of, can't even see what I'm pulling up anymore. Yeah, I'm gonna scroll down a little bit. All right, Psychic Eraser Laser just sends an extra deck monster straight to the graveyard. They get to gain life equal to its life points. Gets around destroy and can't be destroyed and banish abilities. Pankratops, really, it's a free body, easy summon, can destroy any card on the field, so it can be a monster or a spell or trap. This card's interesting. I think it's something to do with the Fire Ferret. I'll put the name up on the screen, but if I remember correctly, if your opponent has more monsters with more attack than your life points, it lets you force them to send cards back or to the deck or to the graveyard until they have less attack than your life points. Definitely interesting, to say the least. And then Triple Tactics Tasking. I guess I'll just put this here. Tactics Tasking says if an opponent's monster effect was used, you can use it to go search for any spell trap and set it. And if they have a monster in play, you put it back into your hand instead. So this card's just going to be amazing going first or second. I should say the first round or the second, any round of the game. I think this card's going to be amazing and will help you find whatever you need to break, whatever part of the board you need to break. But yeah, that is everything. If you want to just look at this as a deck list form, I'll leave the deck list below. You can just check it out, and all of these cards will be there. This is more than 60, but there was a few extra deck cards I wanted to include. Again, if you found this helpful, please give it a like. It's free, helps me out. I plan on making more content to help people build decks. I have some budget decks planned out. If you want to see those when they come out, go ahead and subscribe. I definitely want to make more content on this format and help as many people as I can get into the format. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And until next time, I'll see you later.